So the Slime Diaries is the spin-off series that is going to be the day-to-day activities full of fun and cute adventures to tie us over until we get part 2 of season 2 of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. This isn't the main series, this is simply designed to be the spin-off series with a slightly different art style, which I've been told is actually more similar to that of the source material, but take that with a grain of salt. I have no experience with the source material, so that could just be misinformation, but still, it's clearly a different series, but is set to kind of like expand, I feel like, the world that we've come to know and love about the show, and even give more focus and spotlight to characters that maybe haven't been given that much spotlight and focus, just because main plot points or other main central characters have taken more of the focus and spotlight up until now. For me, I've been very excited for this because as someone who binged season 1 over a week and some odd days before season 2 started up, I was really impressed by how interesting the world was to me up until like closer to the end of the season. Sure, the plot really starts getting going, but for the most part, while there are certainly intense moments in season 1, the thing that kept me interested episode by episode and wanting to binge it upon episodes, like seriously, there was points where I just did 9 or 10 episodes in a day. It was just a really engaging season. It was how the characters bounce off one another and the idea that it didn't need a threat to be interesting. And based on where the characters are at in the Slime Diaries, it's very interesting seeing a lot of the things that we've already experienced in season 2, like a lot of these buildings have already been made, a lot of these characters have already been fleshed out, but it's interesting to see how they got there. But I think most importantly, because you don't have the same amount of time as you do in something like a light novel, you don't always get to put that much focus on the characters who make your equipment, or the characters who teach at a school. I mean, I didn't even know they had a school in That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, but seeing the little monsters learn and the fact that they draw pictures of the great Rimuru, it's very cute, but it just further lets the world of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime feel much more engaging, because I truly feel like the thing that makes this show so interesting is truly the world building and how there's so many little pieces at play that build into the nation of Tempest, and why when bad things can happen to them, that's why you get so infuriated, not just because it's the main character having to suffer, but because this is a civilization that you truly believe in and want to see succeed. So walking into this show, I was really excited to see what they're going to do, and I knew it was going to be a hit or a miss depending on what people were looking for out of the show. I saw so many people somehow confused that this was like they were expecting the next episode of the main series, even though it's like a completely separate page on Crunchyroll. No, this is a spin-off, it's going to be goofy, it's going to be cute, it's going to be ridiculous, and that's what we should expect. For me personally, there was 2 things I was hoping to see out of this episode in episodes. 1, make me laugh with shenanigans, but 2, show me things that I don't get to see in the main series. And they gave me both of those. I thought there was definitely some very good highlight comedy moments in this episode. Cooking, right? She gets this new knife that's made, and immediately after cutting an onion, not only does the onion get cut into 2, the cutting board, but then the entire wall, and it's like, holy shit, you don't need to give her a weapon that powerful. But I definitely think the comedy works in the same type of way that a lot of my favorite comedy anime do, where you have certain jokes that, you know, they're very quick, they're to the point, but then you have other ones that are honestly kind of complex with what they're building up to. I love the idea of that you get this kind of like just simple little bit of information that might go over your heads if you're watching the main series. The fact that, you know, all of the dragon folk there, they're actually living in the cave where Veldora was actually kept there. And to see them, you know, they're like preparing something, like, oh, are they gardening or what are they doing? Reamer's kind of like creeping in, being like, I wonder what they're up to here. Like, what are they actually planning? And you get the most ridiculous dance that somehow becomes even more stupid and ridiculous the longer you watch it. You know, they're dancing around, they're praising great Rimuru, then you get, you know, just this insult being like, how dare you dance and sing like that? How would he ever want this? And then you get this even more ridiculous art style that feels like a toddler drew it. And I think Rimuru's face and just other characters looking in, like that's the best way to put it, is like that's the type of show we're going to experience. We're going to have many jokes which are simple, cutting a vegetable and cutting a building into 2, to more complex but still equally stupid but entertaining jokes, like a bunch of dragons dancing around in a cave praising their lord and savior when really he's just disturbed by you, all things considered. Or the simple kind of one-off jokes like how, you know, Rimuru, it's a simple like idea that I didn't even think about, like Rimuru asking about, hey, do you see any other slimes around here? It's honestly a pretty normal question, I would think, especially considering he was reincarnated as a slime. So the idea that he actually asked, like, hey, and they're all saying, like, oh yeah, we see them sometimes in summer, we see them here and around this time period. It You're like, oh, okay, but it makes sense why he'd want to know, because even though they're not going to be the same as him, it's natural that you'd assume, like, hey, why haven't I seen any of mine? And then they start saying, like, oh, they're so delicious to slurp down on a hot sunny day. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's actually a legit reason why we don't see them around, because people actually do slurp them up. Even if it was simply a joke and they weren't being serious, there's enough reason to get that kind of horror movie thriller where you just run the hell to the hills. There's all these, like, little amazing moments that just brought a giant grin to my face. This is seriously a series designed for me. And honestly, had we never got season 2 and only the Slime Diaries, I still would have been a happy camper. But the fact that we have something to tie us over as the main production team is working on, the part 2 that's going to be intense, it's going to be exhilarating. We have this, which is simple day-to-day activities. If you skip out on it, you're not going to be missing much because it's obviously not the main series. But if you watch it, you'll probably see a couple little extra bells and whistles to further flesh out a character's personality, relationships, or hell, seeing characters we either haven't seen before or just don't get to see a lot of because they just don't have enough emphasis put on the main story, so we have to basically shove them to the side and just say they're a random villager. I definitely thought the art style looked a lot different than the main series when we were getting the promotional materials like the poster image and the trailers, and certain characters definitely are vastly different than what we're used to in the anime world. But I have to say, the way the comedy and slice of life scenes are directed, I definitely prefer the way they're directing it, because it's a good way to not only differentiate between the main series, but also make sure you understand this isn't a series where buildings are going to be destroyed in a dramatic fashion, buildings are going to be destroyed in a comedic fashion. And I think that's going to be something that I hopefully will help separate it from the main series, so people who aren't interested in this immediately know this isn't what they're looking for. But those of us who just can't wait for part 2 of Slime, we have something to tie us over in a very entertaining way. It's not dry, it's not boring. By using comedy as a way to make day-to-day activities interesting, gonna be pretty hard-pressed to find people who watched the entirety of season 1 and didn't enjoy the slice of life and comedy scenes of it. I think this show is really gonna be special and is one of the rare cases where you can have that in-between anime as you wait for the main official series without it being dry or boring in the slightest. I love Ranga in this episode. I mean, once again, just having Best Boy just want to get pets, so he's practicing his new moves even when he's in the shadows and he comes out and sees the entire buildings just destroyed. There's so many ways that I think this series could be some of the funniest content of the year, because we already have this amazing established cast of characters with ridiculous personalities that at a meeting where you think they're actually debating something serious, they're debating what dress Rimuru will wear, right? There's so many ways for this to be balls to walls hilarious, while further fleshing out an amazing world that honestly is pretty close to second to none to a lot of isekais. I truly think that's what makes this show so great, and I'm really excited to watch it. Will I review it every single week? Who knows? I'm going to test the waters with this video, see what people are feeling about it. I mean, I doubt most of the videos will be overly long because obviously when you're giving a first impressions and things like that, you have a bit more to say. And the fact that this is going to be more of a slice of life comedy, I might only have 2 to 3 minutes worth of things to say about an episode. But if I'm enjoying it and I feel like people are enjoying the videos, I'll keep doing them. Otherwise, I'll watch it in my own time. So definitely let me know your thoughts on the episode. And if you want to see me continue reviewing this in the future, whether it's a couple minute reviews or lengthier ones, depending on the content and how much it made me laugh or really scratch my head about how much it kind of like further fleshes out things in the world. If you enjoyed the video though, leave a like, show your support, and hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.